Welcome to the engine room, this big 64-foot motor yacht. We've got twin Caterpillar turbocharged 6-cylinder inline 660 horsepower Caterpillar diesel engines, port and starboard. And we also have two Northern Light generator systems, one port, one starboard. So that way we've got a daytime generator and the nighttime generator, and they're both 20 kilowatts apiece. Let me crawl forward a little bit, and you can see down underneath this deck plate, there's the top of the strainer, a very large sea strainer for the very large raw water pump on these cats. Let me lift this up just a little bit, and you can see how big it is in there. Also, looking back a little bit, you can see the propeller shaft with the dripless shaft seal. That propeller shaft goes up and couples onto a twin disc transmission. Actually, it's called a reduction gear. It reduces the RPMs on the engine to a lesser RPMs to go to the propeller with a giant radius propeller blade and also pitch. Looking up a little bit, you can see that black exhaust pipe. And then you've got two turbos to look at. One turbo, the white one, is the exhaust turbo that actually exhausts the hot gases from the engine through that black pipe. Black pipe is insulated. And then the other turbo is the air intake. You can see that big black air filter over there to the far left. And then that turbo sucks air in and blows it through that off-colored white pipe. And you can see it comes underneath the exhaust pipe. And then it goes back up to the air intake, and you can see the Caterpillar logo on the air intake for the port side engine. Also looking here on the port engine, you can see the remote control panel. So you've got oil pressure, water temperature, the actual pressure on the transmission itself, and then you've got the start and stop button right here. The red button is the stop button, and then this lever down here at the bottom is the starting lever, and then there is our hour meter. If you need to check the oil, of course you've got a dipstick right here to check the oil, and if you need to add oil to it, there's the T-handle where you would put the oil into the engine at that location. Going forward a little bit, you can see this big cat filter here. This big yellow filter is a fuel filter. It says so right there on the canister, fuel filter. And then this plunger pump at the top is a primer pump. You can unscrew this and pump it up a little bit. Going forward a little bit more, you can see the expansion tank, which has a radiator cap on top. And just below the expansion tank, this is the heat exchanger to cool the radiator fluid or the antifreeze or the coolant inside of the Caterpillar engine. Looking up on the front of the engine here, you can see the giant pulley, the harmonic balancing pulley. And then that big gray piece is a big, large amperage alternator to put out a lot of voltage to recharge the batteries aboard the boat. So here we're looking at the port engine, and on top of the port engine you can see this conversion device. That is a Glendenning brand conversion device to convert mechanical controls on the engine to electronic controls in the pilot house and on top of the flybridge. Again, you can see the hand pump here for the fuel filter if you need to prime the system. That's on the port engine. Let me come back over to the starboard engine a little bit, and you can see the heat exchanger again. There's the heat exchanger. They put the fuel filter on the starboard side just like they did this engine to my right. But this big filter here, don't confuse that. That is not a fuel filter. You can see the pipes are a lot bigger, and then of course you can read the word. It says oil filter. They did change a few things. They put the fuel filter middle of the engine here. There's the pump. You can see that the pump is silver, so it's been replaced. Something was faulty with the original pump. They had to replace it. And then here is your oil fill system here. This is your raw water pump. Let me get back just a little bit to see what's going on here. And you can see the back plate. If you need to pull the impeller out of this raw water pump, you unbolt this plate and pull the pump out. Obviously, if you need to pull the impeller out, this filter would be in the way, so you would have to unscrew the fuel filter and give you almost 12 inches of space between the impeller body and all the way back here. So if you have to operate on this raw water pump and replace the impellers inside the raw water pump, this filter has to be removed temporarily. By the way, this is the dipstick to check the oil. Something that you'll find on some of the bigger engines is another heat exchanger. This is called the fuel cooler. So we actually have raw water coming out of the pump into this heat exchanger, and we've got two hoses, hot fuel in, cooler fuel back out. Coming back a little bit, you can see the water hose here. You can see the starter. Notice the starter has got a black part. That is a solenoid, and that solenoid has been replaced. It's obvious because it's black. If it were original, it would still be white. Looking back a little bit more, let's go up. Here's the starter lever, the local starter lever, the local kill switch, and then your instrumentation at the top. If you're doing any oil changes or mechanical service down here, you don't have to run back and forth upstairs to start and stop the engine. Looking back here, you can see this big air filter, just like the one on the port engine behind me. And coming back a little bit, I'm looking at the transmission here, and there's the builder's plate on the transmission. It is a twin disc. You can see that pull ring, that's for the dipsticks, and there's the turbocharger. The lighter color, or the brownish one, is the hot air intake, and the white one is the exhaust. And let me swing back here, looking at all of the batteries. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battery packages in front of the starboard 20 kilowatt generator. If you want to learn more about boating, if you want to learn more about maintaining your own boat, your generator systems, your electrical systems, bilge pumps, changing the oil, changing the fuel filters, join us for one of our many boat systems maintenance seminars. Just look us up on the internet, Ask Captain Chris.